Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good morning. Happy Saturday, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in great spirits, as it should. It's Saturday, okay? It's time to just be able to relax a little bit. I understand some of y'all are family individuals, God, children-loving individuals out here busy raising your kids, running after your little rugrats and whatnot. But hey, if you get a chance to even vibe out and chill for just a little bit, then hey, it's a blessing, right? And I mean, getting to see those little seeds grow is still really cool, right? I don't know. It's just something I tell myself when things get a little crazy, a little loud, right? But anyway, hope you guys are all doing well out there. Just want to make sure if that everyone can hear me. All right. This is kind of everyone can hear me from what I understand. This is kind of like a hangout type of situation. It's Saturday. It's a little bit more chill. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still got some things that we are going to be talking about. I got some questions for you guys. All right. Revolving around this Gilgo Beach monster. Okay. The Lisk, or Rex Heuermann, the Gilgo Baggins, as I like to call him. I got a lot of questions for you guys. So hopefully we'll be able to have a conversation this Saturday morning, and just kind of recap some of the things that happened on Banfield last night. I'll explain here in a little bit about that as well. All right, so do me a favor. Before we get into everything, as you know, we're about to get into it here in just a second. Please hit that like button down below. All right. If you're watching on any other platforms like Facebook, please be sure to hit that reaction button over there as well. And if you are watching on other platforms like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, X/Twitter, please hit that follow button over there. Follow me on those platforms. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube right here, please be sure to crush that subscribe button. If you want to support the channel and you're watching on YouTube, hit that join button down below. Consider becoming a member of the family. All right. It helps this show, helps these purple lights stay on, and all that. Okay. And of course, if you want to support even further, you can go to patreon.com/thepascalshow. It's on the ticker right down beneath me, going that way as we speak. Okay. All righty then. All right, guys, we got to get into this, okay? And hello from Australia. Good day. Or is it good night over there? Ain't it nighttime? Aren't you in the future? There's something like that. You in the future, right? Last I checked. But all y'all who are watching the show right now, please comment where you're watching the show from. That would be great. I'd love to see how much international love is going on here. All right? I love it. I'd love to see it. So, anyway, guys, as you guys already know, we have been discussing this case for a little while now about this man right here. I call him Gilgo Baggins. I know some people don't like it, but it feels so good, especially when you got a bad guy like this locked up. Okay? Rex Heuermann, the Gilgo Beach serial K-word. I can't even say that word, unfortunately. I can't say it a lot, okay? But the Gilgo Beach serial killer, the Long Island serial K-word, okay? This man has a lot of explaining to do. Long story short. Now, he has been about 10 months or so ago, he was pinned or linked to the unalivings of 4 individuals. Now we flash forward to the last few days. This has been one hell of a week, y'all. And we find out that he has been linked to 2 more victims as well. Now, what's really crazy about this is the fact that, well, the more time that they spend in that house, in the Heuermann's red house, the more information they keep coming out with. Now, we've seen a lot of stuff in the press conference. The press conference was extremely damning, was extremely shocking. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was floored by the press conference. Honestly, I will say this. I was shocked, but then not shocked at the same time. I mean, you got somebody who's been out here. You got a person out here that's been doing this for well over 30 years, probably more than just 30 years. Okay. He's bound to have a gang of stuff, trophies, souvenirs, things to remind himself of the disturbing things that he's done to at least these 6 victims. Let's not forget it's 11 in total that were found in the Gilgo Beach area. But I'm telling you right now, and I'm sure I'm going to say this over and over again, there's more. I guarantee you there's more than just those 11. Think about this for a second. If he's been able to hide in plain sight for this long, for decades, guys, not just like a few years here and there. It wasn't like he just had a crazy spree, for lack of an unaliving spree, just for like a couple months, and then he got caught. This ain't like this is the Idaho 4, okay, where we have an alleged monster locked up right now, okay? It was one time and one time only that we know of, according to, when it comes to Brian Kohberger, okay? No, this was decades, guys. And you're telling me it's just 11? I'm telling you right now, there's more. And they're more than just in Long Island or in the New York northeastern area. I'm telling you, this man probably went on trips and did some unalivings. I'm sure this man was on road trips, was going on trips with his family and just going out moonlighting and just doing some bad. I think that there's more than this. There's more to this, okay? I think there's more than meets the eye. Transformers. That's what I think. Something is just not right with this case. And we're obviously law enforcement is quickly learning how bad this man really is and how deep and dark and disturbing this rabbit hole truly goes. And they're just at the beginning, guys. I'm hoping. Well, first off, let me just say this. That's to law enforcement. Hell yeah. Don't you love it when they do it? They go in, they do their due diligence, and they do that due diligencing. You know what I mean? And they come up for air and they're like, boom, we got more big fish. Right? Now, as much as I am, of course, my heart goes out to the families of all of these victims. But honestly, they are finally getting a chance to close a chapter, not the book, but close a chapter in their loved one's story, right? They at least now know that this monster right here had everything to do with their disappearance and their death. They at least have that. Now it's a matter of justice, right? What's the next step for them? And I hope that they get that swiftly. In fact, woo! Let me tell you something about DNA. Let me tell you something about DNA. You know, man, DNA. I don't know nothing about DNA, but I'm just saying it's damning, right? His hairs are on people. Hairs of ex-wives, wife, current wife, soon to be ex-wife as well, on bodies found at these crime scenes. Oh, and I'm sorry. Let's not forget. Let's not forget the manifesto. Let's not forget the manifesto, the blueprint, the documents, the HK 2002 to '04 document, where he breaks down things like, hey, this is what I need to do next time. Avoid this. Have more sleep so you can have more playtime. Use X, Y, and Z so they scream less. So on and so on. It is so disturbing, guys. It is so disturbing that it feels like he's just writing like a horror movie or writing notes and ideas down for a horror novel, like another American Psycho or another Dexter or any of those other types of movies or books. It's absolutely insane to me. But let's not forget that. The documents say everything. The documents, it's a wrap. Now, sure, his lawyer, because he can easily sit there and go, it wasn't me. You know? I didn't write that. Somebody else wrote that. Right? Very easy for someone to do that. Absolutely. Easy for him to lean on I don't know where that came from. I have nothing to do with that. Fine. But you can't deny when they start to pin everything that you have in those documents to where you were actually physically during those times, if they're able to connect you, like, all right, you dump site such and such, we have footage or surveillance or something of that sort of you in that particular area, right? Or it's a whatever else is in those details that I'm sure they can find a way to connect this monster to every single last one of those victims, at least the 11. But I'm telling you, there are more. That's why I truly feel in my heart of hearts, you got somebody who literally took parts of a body and separated them, put them in two different places. What are the chances of, if that dump site in the woods, not on Gilgo Beach, I'm saying in the woods, what are the chances of in the woods, that's his second dumping site, and that there's more than just the few that have been found or the few body parts that were found in the area? What if there are more? I mean, like I said, there's so many cold cases of S workers that have not been solved at all. In fact, a lot of times they get swept under the rug because of their line of work, because of their job title. How many of them have instantly gone cold that could have been a victim of this man right here? In other parts, let's just keep it simple. Just on the Eastern Coast, just that alone. East Coast, going straight up and down, Maine to Florida, and back up. Think about that for a second. The possibilities are endless here. Now, you got to also remember, they didn't give us his blueprint. They didn't give us his document, right? His manifesto, if you will. I guarantee you there's so much more information in there that they have not released yet that is absolutely mind-blowing. Now, I was on Ashley Banfield last night. I know, stop. Stop it. Stop. Stop. That's so kind of you. Seriously, you don't have to clap. Seriously, you don't need. Stop. Thanks. And I had a great time. And I appreciate everybody who had a chance to watch the show last night and show support and check it out. And she had a huge show last night. It was kind of like a full special on just this guy right here and the terrible things he's done, right? But she even said, Ashley Banfield even said herself, it's crazy. She said it. She said it to me. She said it's crazy that the DA would release this kind of information early. Usually we wait till court. We usually wait till trial, till we actually see some of this damning evidence. It's pretty wild that they put this stuff out here so quickly. And the reason why I think that they put that stuff out so quickly is because they caught a big fish. A very big, this is a whale. And I don't mean, I'm not trying to, I'm not attacking his physical stature. I'm talking about what he has done. They caught a freaking whale. So they're going, hey, no. I want you guys to know for sure. We're at least going to give you some breadcrumbs. Or a couple slices of the loaf of bread real quick. Okay? Enough for you guys to make a true crime sandwich out of this to say him guilty. All right? Here's the information. Blow. And everyone's like, what? Ham. Burger. You're telling me that this is the guy. He did what? And he's writing about what? And he got a what? He made a table that does what? He got a hard point that does what? That's insane, guys. That's absolutely insane. Deeply disturbing and extremely sad. Because you got to remember, somebody was on that table. Many of them were on that table. Many of them were suspended. Many of them went through things that I don't even think anyone, well, I believe no one should have to endure. And then he went home to his little computer with his misspelling ass, typing in all of this information. Oh, she did this when I did that, so I'm not going to do that next time. He worked to try to be the best predator that he could possibly be. He took notes because he wanted to be the perfect killing machine. But what's really interesting is the devil's in the details, right? As meticulous and as detailed as this guy is, he let a lot of things slip through the cracks. Like, one thing he didn't realize is that when you write something on a computer and say you try to delete it, there's a way that they can get that stuff back. He didn't think about that. He didn't realize that, oh, maybe if I just put this pen to paper, then all I got to do is burn it and no one will ever be the wiser. But no, this misspelling ass Gilgo Baggins looking mother lover decided to go to his computer and go clickety clackety clickety clack. Originize the nice did. Remember that entry he did? And he put it in his computer. But he thinks he's slick by going, oh, let me delete it. Ain't nobody gonna see it. Ain't nobody gonna see that. No, my brother. We definitely saw that. And now, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? All you can sit there and say is, it wasn't me. It was you. Like you can't fight that. You can't fight that. It's a wrap, in my personal opinion. It's an absolute wrap. But of course, you see the title above, down below, wherever you're watching this show right here. And of course, like I've said a million times before, I got questions. And I think a lot of y'all do too. Because, yeah, let's not forget, Melly. I mean, there's floppy disks and VHSs, which I'm sure that they're not even done going through all of that yet, right? God knows what's on those VHSs. God knows what's on those floppy disks. That's some old school stuff. Real talk. Throwback, all right? Huge throwback. But they got a lot to look through. And the way that they described the inside of this house said it was like a house of hoarders. So for a fact, he's probably putting all this stuff, like he's gathering all this stuff. He's doing these things. He's making content. Jeez. He's documenting his experiences, these disgusting, disturbing, very sinister things. And then sure, he might think he's deleted things. He might think he has thrown those things away, burned them or whatever, discarded them, whatever it may be. But they could also just be sitting in that house. Those kids playing around those things for years. The mom being a mom, taking care of the kids and all that stuff. And this VHS of disgusting, disturbing things is sitting right there in the house where they break bread. They live together and love each other as a family inside that house. It is mind-blowing to me to think that there's a possibility of that. But I'm telling you right now, they're not done going back. They're going to go back into that house. They most definitely are going to be going back into the house. And if they don't, I'd be wondering why not? Unless they find something else out. Unless their investigation leads them somewhere else, to another home or to another building or something of that sort. Because like I said, I got questions. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But real quick, Jackie Sue, thank you so much for becoming a member. And just like Jackie Sue, please consider becoming a member by hitting that join button down below. Become a member. Support the channel if you can, all right? If you like the way I tell these stories and these cases, by all means, support, all right? And of course, Melly, yeah, thank you so much for gifting one membership. And for those of y'all who get gifted, okay, all I ask for is for you to pay it forward. Share the love, share the wealth. You know what to do, all right? Open a door for somebody. Buy somebody a Coke, a drink. Call your mom. Call your dad. Tell them you love them. Give your kid an extra hug today. Whatever it is, your spouse, an extra hug, whatever, okay? Tell them that you love them. Just pay it forward. That's all I ask, okay? Because Melly's giving some positive energy right now, so just pay it forward, okay? And if you want to, pay it forward by gifting somebody else a membership, you're more than welcome to do that as well. No pressure, though. All I ask, send the positivity out here in the world, because there's too much evil and we need to outweigh this evil with some good. Dag nabbit. So make somebody smile today. That's all I ask. It's Saturday, and I'm sure it's beautiful in your neck of the woods. There's a reason to smile today. So help somebody remember that today, just by doing something nice. Okay? But back into evil and gloom and doom. Okay? So I wanted to share this with you. The wife did, Asa did come out with a statement. Okay. And this is, of course, after these chilling new charges and all that. So I wanted to share with you guys this article. And like I said before, I got so many questions, man. I got so many questions. So the neighborhood of Massapequa Park, where his estranged wife and children live, was quiet Thursday, hours after he was charged with 2 more unalivings. Some clutter lay in the backyard, and a green sedan sat in the driveway of the red one-floor house along the overgrown lawn. So, a note hung on the door, and it's right here, just so you guys know, but I can't read that. So, we're going to read what they wrote, okay? And this is what it said. To any media, representatives, law enforcement, or any other person, we ask that you respect our privacy and contact our attorneys only for any manner. For any matter, I'm sorry. But that's interesting. Contact our attorneys only for any matter. That makes no sense. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Read that. Contact our attorneys only for any matter. Okay. Interesting. But anyway, please do not trespass or loiter on this property. Okay, fine. Because I'm sure everybody and their mama wants to see that house, right? There's some true crime heads out there that'll probably drive all the way up there, fly all the way out there, and be like, here I am on the at the front porch of the Rex Heuermann house. You know what I mean? Plenty of people are doing it, I'm sure. And of course, let's not forget, news media in general are probably out there doing their thing. Okay. But his estranged wife, Asa, and the couple's 2 children are out of state, according to their attorney. So this is interesting. This is wild. But anyway, Asa was away prior to the second search warrant. They'll be back next week. All right. So they went in to this place while they were out of town. Now, I know that we already talked about that, but I thought that was interesting. Like they just have access to the house at any time. They just have access to the house. I think that's very interesting. Okay. Okay, Heuermann, we already know about all this. Okay. So he's been, it's a septuple, right? Sextuple, right? Counts, okay, of M now. So it should be the Gilgo 6, not the Gilgo 4 anymore, right? Which I'm sure it'll end up being the Gilgo 11, maybe 12, 13, 20, 30. You never know. But nonetheless, this is a very, very disturbed individual that's done some very, very bad things. Okay. And that goes without question. Okay. But I do find it interesting. And I'm going to keep asking this. I am going to keep asking this. This is Asa right here. First, let me say this before I jump into my question that's already in the title and down below and all that. There's a good possibility that she has absolutely no earthly clue at all. There's a strong possibility. Now, it's a little bit odd, in my personal opinion, because this is 30 some odd years. 30 some odd years that this person has no clue. No earthly clue, not one inkling, not nothing. Now, I have to say that first because I have to be fair, because there's nothing so far that they've unearthed that has connected her to any acknowledgement, any knowledge of any of these unalivings so far. So I have to say that first and foremost. First things first, we got to keep it real and we got to keep it fair. So there's that side. She may not know a damn thing. But then at the same time, let's not forget the other side of things. It's been 30 years. It's been decades of this man doing wrongdoings. Now, I know I talked about this in the other show, when we were watching the press conference and all that, but we're going to circle back and we're going to talk about it again right here. You're really telling me that Asa has no earthly clue whatsoever of this man's wrongdoings? She didn't catch him one day randomly as he's sneaking in or sneaking out of the house. She didn't see parts of the table strewn about the house or in the basement and wonder, what's that? She didn't happen to stumble upon his stash of spicy content that he likes to watch from time to time. She didn't open up his computer randomly to go check on something and just find it sitting there on his computer. I'm just saying, like, you're telling me that he didn't, on 30 years, he was that zipped up type and she didn't know at all? I don't know, y'all. I just don't know. I just don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, I said this theory the other show, but I'm going to say it again. And I know it sounds weird. It's just a theory. Just speculation. So full-on speculation warning here. But what if there was an understanding? What if he confided in her, told her that this is something that he needed to do? That it was an addiction. It was an obsession. And that if he didn't get to do it every once in a while, he would go crazy. So he needed this for himself. So then, yeah, she's like, okay, fine. I'm going to take the kids on a trip. We're going to go visit family. We're going to do this, this, and this. And I'm going to let you go and do what you need to do. So you can go kick rocks, do whatever you need. Feed that monster. And when it's fed, come back home and we'll be back home. You can't tell me that this is somebody who... And then you also got to remember, how many trips did those three, Asa, their son, and their daughter, go on trips? How often did they go on trips without Gilgo Beach cereal? Without Rex? Sans Rex. How often did they go on trips without Rex? That's the one other question that I'd like to know. Because if they went on trips a whole lot, like a gang load, and they were gone for more than just, say, a weekend, that gives him a surplus amount of time to do a whole lot of bad. Here's the other thing. Let's not forget, she didn't ever see a cell phone sitting around randomly. Hey, hon, is this your cell phone? This doesn't look like your cell phone, baby. Oh, yeah, yeah, what had happened was, you see what I'm saying? All those things just strewn about, and she didn't ask not one damn question. She was just flying back and forth from Iceland and with her kids, and that's it. And everything was Gucci. She didn't ever wonder, man, he always seems to be busy. He always seems to have a meeting or something big that he has to take care of every time I go out of town with these kids. Sup with that? Come on. But then again, let's just sit there and say, never underestimate the power of denial. Right? Never underestimate the power of denial. But still, something ain't equating right for me. See, I can see the kids not knowing a damn thing. But this is somebody you sleep in the same bed with, unless you don't sleep in the same bed with this guy. But You do sleep in the same bed. You share the marital bed with this person. You are living on top of each other. And you're telling me he's able to do all of this in plain sight without you looking at him with an inquisitive eye every once in a while? Like I said, something's just not right here. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that she has anything to do with this. I'm just putting out the speculation. I'm asking the questions because something doesn't seem right. Yes, law enforcement has been doing their due diligence. They've been looking things up, and they've said so far there is no connection. But at the same with her and her involvement in any of this. But at the same time, it's just interesting that it's a long time, guys. Okay, that's a long time, and it's not like they live in some big ass house. Their house is small. It's a humble house, right? No disrespect, but it's not like some mansion where he can just have all these things hiding somewhere. It's a smaller home, right? So like I said, you're living on top of each other. And if you have that amount of hoarding inside the house, you're telling I don't know. It's like I said, it just isn't mathing right to me. It's just not mathing right to me. But like I said, it is a question. And it's a question that I'd love to get answered at some point. Because again, she could very well be a victim too. Brainwashed, manipulated over countless years, decades of manipulation. He could literally be like, guess what, honey? I bought you tickets for you and the kids to go to Iceland. Yay. Love you too, sweetie. Bye-bye. And then he goes off and he does bad too. That's possible. That is very possible. But it is very interesting nonetheless how this all went down. Then the other thing too, Melly just said it, but Pascal, a table with a crossbar and hard points. Yeah. He had that somewhere, which we need to talk about. We definitely need to talk about that. He had a table. It even said in the paperwork, set up table, crossbar, hard point. Those are all things that have to do with being able to, the table was used to terrorize somebody, for lack of a better term. The hard point was literally a thing where he can suspend somebody in the air. And then he can do whatever the hell he wants. Like I said, this is a very deeply disturbed individual. And he was writing this all down for notes so that he can be better at this thing. And I keep wondering, the table itself, where was this table held at? Where was this table at? Was it just sitting there in plain sight? Was it in pieces? My theory is that because it says set up table. Now I understand set up table could just literally be like pull the table out, set it up, and just have it there. Make sure the crossbar is put in there and everything's set up so that he can do whatever the hell he wants, right? But what's interesting is my thoughts are he's an architect. I'm sure he's good at putting things together. What are the chances of it being just pieces? And they're strewn within the house. That's one theory. So the kids and wife may not know what those pieces are, right? But they're pieces to a table that he has. Maybe it's a little project that daddy does from time to time. They don't know what the project is, but it's a project for dad, right? But then he's able to, every time he goes out and does these bad things, he's able to piece this thing together, and there it turns into the table of torture. I mean, that's a theory. But when they say set up table, that just makes me think, okay, where was this table? And to me, I keep thinking maybe it was in the basement in the safe, in that walk-in safe. Possibly. Like I said, a lot of this is just very odd. The other part too, you got to remember, and I hate to talk about these graphic, gruesome things, but we got to talk about it. Table, crossbar, hard point. Now, the hard point, let's talk about this really quick. Hard point pins the thing to the ceiling so that you can suspend somebody. So whatever you're pinning to the ceiling has to be strong enough to hold body weight, right? So when he's setting up table and doing whatever he's going to be doing, he can't just go just to any old place and just drill, a hole into a hotel room or anything. If he's going to do that kind of stuff, if you get what I'm saying. So with that being said, where is he actually exacting these unthinkable things? Think about it for a second. Is it a random place that he owns? Is it another location that he actually owns? Is it another piece of property, piece of real estate that he owns? Because you got to remember, you got to have something. That hard point has to literally be able to be strong enough to hold body weight. And I hate to say that and put that in your minds, but think about that for a second. You can't just go any place and just drill a hole. You can't, because then there's proof that he was there, right? First off, that leaves evidence. And then second, what if he does put it up there and he tries to suspend somebody, and then the whole ceiling comes crashing down, right? So it's not like he can do that. He has to go someplace that he knows for a fact he can have it hooked up without a problem whatsoever. So he has to have had a place like a unaliving room, a space that he knows for a fact that he just has to erect the table, hook up the hard point, and do whatever he needs to do, right? And so the question is, where would that place be? Is it something that he owns? Is it on his home property? Is he bringing these girls, these victims, back to the house? Or is this off in some other area that he happens to own? Or maybe have a hookup to? Something to think about. Definitely something to think about. Because this guy, meticulous. And he knew exactly what he was doing. He was doing this for years. But I also do think that there's a lot that he was doing. I think there's a lot that he was doing that had nothing to do with tables. That's what I think. I think he had a lot. I think there was a lot of them that he used the table. And I think also he had a lot that he didn't use the table at all. That's just my theory. Because I think not everything was so planned out all the time. Or maybe things didn't go according to plan. He was hoping to lure them over here, but then, they decide, oh, no, I want to go over here instead. And then next, you got to go with option B. I know that sounds really messed up, but I mean, that's just kind of what I'm seeing as far as the situation. Okay, A is going to this place and being able to do what I need to do. But B may be right here at this moment, at this time. I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's very wild because you got to remember one of the women, Sandra Castilla, I'm sorry, was found still, if I'm correct, still intact. Okay. But still unbelievable things happened to her, right? Disturbing and unbelievable things happened to her. So from my understanding, it doesn't sound like she was just on the table. I think that it was an attack, right? A spur of the moment kind of attack. Or he was trying to lure her into wherever he was going to have this table set up at, and it didn't work out. Do you see what I'm saying? But like I said, many questions that I have. Many. But we got some videos I want to share with you guys really quick before we continue on. So let's take a look at this. It's from these are all Banfield from last night. Okay, but I want to share some clips with you guys. So let's take a look at this one.
In a case like Rex Heuermann's, sadly, there are other people whose lives are ruined, notwithstanding the victims who were tortured and murdered, and the murder victims' families who suffered like immeasurable loss. But Rex had a family too, right? Still does. Mm-hmm. Wife, kids, who did not invite any of this. And it is important to note that the investigators believe that they played no part in these crimes. Let me repeat that. Investigators believe they are not involved.
Now, I do think that, okay, if the law enforcement has been doing their due diligence and have been looking at this and they really believe that there's no connection, then, okay, we got to take it at face value. But they're not done fully. And I don't think it's the full family. I don't think that the kids are involved. I really don't. Okay? I really don't think that they were involved. But, I mean, the wife not knowing nothing, I think is interesting. I just think it's interesting. Doesn't mean that it's true. Okay? Doesn't mean, I'm not trying to knock anybody down or anything, but it does spark questions because you got somebody who's been doing this for so long. But then again, we've heard many stories where it's like, I didn't know my husband or my wife was doing these things to these kids or, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. So I keep wondering, not even an inkling? That's the one thing I'm questioning. Not even an inkling? You didn't question it just for 1 second? Maybe you didn't know, but there was something that was telling you that something wasn't right. Maybe, I don't know. But like I said, questions all day long.
The prosecutors have said his alleged murders took place while his wife and kids were away. And just this week, we learned of a date book that allegedly belonged to Rex, showing his wife out of town during Jessica Taylor's disappearance in 2003. Prosecutors wrote this: the murders of all 4 charged victims, and now the murder of Ms. Taylor, occurred at times when defendant Heuermann's wife and children were located out of state, which would have allowed defendant Heuermann unfettered time to execute his plans for Ms. Taylor, which included the decapitation, dismemberment, and transportation of her remains, without any fear that his family would uncover or learn of his involvement in these crimes. For now, despite her quick divorce filing, Asa Ellerup seems to be standing by her man, visiting him in prison, jail. But maybe she's in disbelief. Maybe her beliefs are changing with all the week's evidence that she's going to have to digest. That is it for us. Thank you, as always, for watching.
Now, one thing I do think is interesting is this part.
Despite her quick divorce filing, Asa Ellerup seems to be standing by her man.
Why? Instantly, I'm wondering why. I'm not sitting here like I'm not trying to allude to anything sinister. I'm just curious if you are filing for divorce and you trying to get him to sign them papers, then why would you still be standing by your man? That don't make sense to me. And in denial, like, see, okay, especially as Dubs just said, denial. Okay, even after denial, or even denial, right? Even after all the information that just got dropped this week, you're telling me she's going to be standing by her man? Literally. If I were her, I'd be like, and I'm standing by him, I'd be like, oh, look at that bird. And walk as far away as I can from this man. There is no way. I mean, like, that's the thing. How can you sit there, any person, even Rex, how is he going to be able to come back out of this looking innocent after all the information that has been dropped? DA wanted everyone to know for a fact that they got their man. I wish they kind of did that for BK. You know what I mean? For Coco, I wish they did that too. Just a little bit. Just be like, this is how we know this is who, you know, this is how we did it. You know what I'm saying? With Coco, without a shadow of a doubt, this is our man. This is how we do it. You know what I'm saying? And just be done with it. So everyone goes, oh, damn, BK screwed. How are you going to come out of this one? Rex, though, the information, the DNA, the manifesto or the documents that he has, the countless cameras, SD cards, floppy disks, VHSs, and then some. You're telling me, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Are you still going to stand by you? Okay. But I get it. I hope she walks away soon. Because at some point, reality needs to set in. Denial starts to fade away. And reality starts to settle in quick. And it's like, well, have you read the documents, sweetheart? Have you read what he's written? And if he's still telling you to your face, just flat out to your face, sweetie, it wasn't me. I didn't write any of that. Then you got another. I really encourage Asa to take some time and read the mother-loving documents. Give it to her, all of it. Here it is. I want you to know who your man is, who you're standing by right now. Here's the evidence that we have pitted up against him. And it's a mountain. It's more than just a mountain, y'all. Okay? It's more than just a mountain. He's screwed. Like I said on the show, they might as well just throw him under the prison. Bury him under the prison. It's a wrap for him over there. They got enough. That's why the DA put out that information, because they wanted to say, we got our guy. There is no question that this is our man. None. Also wanted to make sure that the defense isn't going to sit there and go, well, we need all the evidence and all that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, girl, we got it all right here. Plow. We already gave it to the public, most of it, or a portion of it, right? And I'm sure we haven't even seen the 90% mass underneath the water of this iceberg. We're not even seeing the tip. This ain't even the whole tip of this iceberg. The whole thing is tell me you did it. Tell me he did it without telling me he did it. Actually, you are telling me he did it with all the evidence. And the DNA. I mean, come on, man. It's the burner phones. It's the being caught with going into cell phone stores, paying in cash. It's the pizza crust. It's the documents. It's the DNA. And that's just not even all of it. 422 electronic devices that they're looking through right now. 422. Yeah, thank God for pizza crust. You know what I'm saying? Pizza crust got him. ain't that about a ain't that something? Of all things, this dude's like, I'm untouchable. I got everything on point. And then all of a sudden, they got him on pizza and hairs. Crazy. Crazy. Devil's in the details, y'all. Devil's in the details. Sorry, I'm just reading something here. I haven't seen that face in a while. Hold on. Real quick, I want to grab this. Legacy. Haven't seen or talked to you in a while, love. Hope you are well. Hope you are well. But let me share this with you guys here. This is from Legacy. I haven't seen Legacy in a long time. What's up, Legacy? What's up, girl? All right. This is from Legacy. Let me share this with you guys. So, investigators are analyzing tape recovered from the basement of Rex Heuermann's home, a location where they believe he may have unalived his victims. So, this may have been all at his home. But see, that's so crazy to me. He would go out into like New York or do wherever he was, you know what I mean? I'm walking here, and do his thing, holler at somebody, they rendezvous, he picks them up, and he drives all the way back to his crib. All the way back to his crib to do all this stuff. And ain't nobody over decades, not once, not one neighbor, heard not nothing. That's insane, guys. Unless his room was that walk-in safe. Think about that too. Could very well be that walk-in safe. Like I said, some Dexter-ish, yo. Like that, like You. You ever see that show on Netflix called You? It's like You. You know, he had like he had like this weird like chamber type of thing where he would hold people hostage in this like glass box. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it was done in the safe, but that's insane. Okay, so DA Tierney revealed that a document uncovered in March was the major break that led investigators to conduct a more particularized search of the basement, where they believe Heuermann, Gilgo Baggins, used tape and push pins to hang tarps and plastic to conceal violent acts. References to using push pins over tape and concerns over sound travel further indicate the unalivings, quote unquote, would have occurred indoors and likely inside Heuermann's home. A quote unquote controlled environment he was familiar with and where he could access tools, prosecutors wrote in the bail letter. The reports from Newsday, go further and explain the theory on how they believe Rex Heuermann did to avoid being caught. But that's crazy. If this is all inside his crib, man, that's insane, guys. Because I remember them saying that during the press conference, talking about the inside of the home. This is the reason why I say, if they believe everything happened within that home, they need to tape that whole house off and tell the family, you're going to have to find a motel. You need to find a hotel, a Holiday Inn. Call it a day. Now this is a crime scene. But they have yet to do that from what I've seen. They have not said this is a full-on crime scene. No one in or out of here unless you are authorized to be able to be in here. Period. But you have people, this innocent, this right now, innocent family living in that house, living in the crime scene. You need, as Ra, the creator, just said, you need to relocate them, period. Relocate them, period. Why keep them around in this area? That's insane to me. That's absolutely insane to me. Let me grab this really quick. Jaxie, thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you so very much. Carrie, hey. Thank you so much for 5 memberships. Sharing is caring, as she said. Carrie, sharing is carry. I tried, but she said paying it forward. I appreciate you. Yes. Kitten, thank you so much for gifting. Thank you, Kitten. I appreciate it. And Karen, thank you so much. Wow, thank you so much for 5 memberships. Like I said, everybody out there who's just turned into members because of these giving wonderful individuals, welcome to the family. And all I ask is pay it forward. That is what? 11 people right now. Okay. I think it was 12 before with Melly. 12 people right now that just got some positive energy. So go and pay it forward. Okay? Spread it out. Y'all 12, okay, that just got touched with some positive love, okay? Pay it forward. Give it to somebody else as quickly as possible, all right? Let's spread some love and let's spread some positivity today. It's a Saturday, dag nabbit, all right? But let's get into this conversation. We got some more we got to look into. But like I said, it still just doesn't make any sense to me it still just doesn't make any sense to me with Asa and all that. But at the same time, hey, we have witnessed and have experienced wilder cases, right? So I'm going to sit back and I'm going to wait for more information, right? But I still wonder, how did she not know? But again, everyone lives their life how they want to live it. And there's strong possibilities that this man is a master manipulator, at least a master manipulator on Asa. That's a possibility, right? And clearly he's a master manipulator if he's able to bring in these other victims. He's able to lure them in some sort of fashion and all that, right? But let's continue on, though. Let's take a look at this video.
My next guest was a neighbor of the Heuermann family who had his own run-ins with a man who would later become an alleged serial killer.
Now, I'm wondering really quick, I'm sorry for stopping this in the middle of it, but I am quite curious about this. Did they hear anything? Did any of these people hear, any of these new neighbors or anything of that sort, hear anything weird coming out of that house? Ever, right? Did he really soundproof that place so well that no one could hear anything? This is decades, guys. Decades.
Jimmy Mack, welcome so much. This is great to have you because very few of us can understand anything except what we're seeing on paper, but you know the man. Tell me about this really bizarre encounter you had. He freaked out about your car being parked, and it's parked in your own driveway, as I recall.
Yeah, so I live kind of like right by the train station where he would. So I guess I'm 2 blocks over and 2 blocks down from him, right by the train station. So I just happened to be sitting on my porch the night we had the incident, and I could hear him talking on the corner. He was saying something about, here we go again. He had mentioned something about the girls, which kind of caught my attention, but people walk by there all the time. They're on their phone, so I'm not really thinking about it. About a minute later, I still hear him talking, but he's like directly in front of my house. So now when I stand up on the porch, he's looking directly at my house. So I don't think he expected me to be there. And I certainly didn't expect him to be like looking at my house. So that's when I said, I'm like, are you talking to me?
Did somebody say, Brooklyn just said, this man looks like Joey Buttafuoco? Come on, man. Stop it. That is some 90s. That is a throwback, by the way. But come on. Come on.
And he goes, yeah. He goes, I warned the girls about the car one time. He goes, now you're going to he goes, I'll be back. And now you're going to understand.
Warned the girls. What does that mean? I've warned the girls about the car.
Well, later on, we found out, looking back, I guess maybe like 2 weeks before that, my ex's husband had dropped off the daughter and he was kind of sticking out. The car was like where the walkway is, so he had to walk around the car. So apparently there was an incident like 2 weeks before that. Not a big deal. Nothing happened of it. But I guess looking back, that's what we think it was. Well, the problem was when he said, oh no, I'm going to handle it and I'll be back. He said it so nonchalantly. It wasn't like we were in an argument. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, something's not right here. So that's when I started walking down the block and I kind of blocked them off. Like, you're not going anywhere, man. If you have an issue, we'll handle on business now, you know? And
yeah,
it got pretty heated and all the neighbors, the lights went on, the phone started ringing, everybody's calling me. They realized it was me.
wow.
So we just left it as, all right, well, I'm not going to walk down your block anymore. He walked away. So my girl's son had come out. He was standing like the house next to me because I walked like 3 houses up. And that's when I started walking back, I started replaying some of the things he was saying. There was a few more words said. And I heard a couple I wish I would have paid more attention to what he was saying on the corner. But there was just things that weren't making sense. So I'm like, I need to find out where this guy lives. Because I know I had seen him before. So I jumped in my car. He went in the house. My neighbor directly next door called me, and I kept him on speakerphone. So I went 2 blocks. By the time I found him, he must have saw me coming, like when I pulled my car over. So he dipped in between the 2 houses. So now I don't know which house he's in. I just wanted to know. It bothered me enough that it made me say, I need to know where this guy lives.
And as I understand it, Jimmy, when you heard that there was this alleged killer in the neighborhood, you instantly thought.
I'm just going to let you know, this is a true New Yorker, all right? He's a true New Yorker, all right? This he's not professional. He's not a professional speaker. He's not some media guy. He's just a regular dude. He's a regular neighbor telling the story of something that's extraordinary, right? Out of the ordinary and extremely extraordinary. All right. But, you know, he ain't a pro. Okay. And I'm sure he's a little nervous, but he's telling the story. And that's all that matters, right?
Thought of him, and you said you knew it was him.
Yeah,
There's like another incident, right? Like, I only have a couple seconds left, but there's this other incident that Rex had some run-in with your wife as well. Can you just briefly tell me what that is?
Well, about 2 or 3 weeks later, we had left it. The short of it, we had left it that he's not going to walk down my block anymore. So my wife was walking the dog, and he had looked at her. She didn't know it was him because I just described her. She figured it out. She had seen he just looked directly at her and then saw my car wasn't there and then walked down the block and like kept staring at her. But she never told me until after he got arrested because she didn't want me to make a big deal of it.
No, the other question, the one thing I'm kind of curious about though, is if his wife is small in stature. Because if she is small in stature, I could see why he was kind of like staring at his wife. Because if she fits the physical MO that he likes, you know, like a lot of the other victims, I am kind of curious about that. That is interesting that Rex was trying to like, you know, was looking, you know, at his own neighbors and at his own neighbor's wife. I think that's not good. But I'm curious what her stature is, if she's tall, if she's short, you know what I mean? If she's petite, whatever it is, you know, because if she is, then that would be definitely right up Rex's interest and alley, right?
But I felt uncomfortable enough in the situation. Yeah, the situation was bad enough that I told my friends where he lived, who he was, just in case something happened and he came back. So it was, it was enough to for me to think something wasn't right here.
Wow. Well, you heard that, right? He's like, I had to tell other people because it was that weird. It was that uncomfortable. It was that scary.
And especially when I saw the house, I said, oh, that's the guy that lives in that red house. Like, so then it really kind of,
So,
I didn't
Jimmy,
expect that.
And they all look at the house like it's the house. You know what I mean? It's that red house. Isn't that crazy? And sometimes some of these houses, some people live in houses that give off of an energy. You know what I mean? And that house definitely does not look like a house that is well taken care of. But there's like this there's this weird darkness to it. If you notice, if you've seen anything about the neighborhood itself, you know, there's a lot of really nice, beautiful homes, and then there's the red house, and you could just tell like it's open, bright, and then you see the red house. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. But houses can give off vibes too. They can give off those kind of energy, that kind of energy as well. And it definitely is a house of horrors for sure.
Jimmy, can I just ask you just a one sentence, because I am really over, but I've got to hear from you. In one sentence, what's your reaction to all the information we're learning from the courts?
Shocked, but not shocked. You know.
Wow.
And
that says a lot.
Yeah. After the run-in I had with him. Yeah.
Crazy, guys. You know, and I'm sure there's going to be more neighbors stepping forward and speaking out as well. Because I mean, I'm going to be real. I mean, they lived around this man for decades. Okay, any person that lived around him for decades, I'm sure, will be speaking out and saying, "Yeah, I was there, and yeah, it was scary." You know what I mean? But we got more. Now, this one is very interesting because, of course, you got to remember there's an ex-S worker that's been out, has had a few interviews, has spoken about her experience having a date with him. But then, of course, she felt kind of, from what I gathered from a while back, she felt some type of way. She felt a vibe about him that was very off. And so she was, you know, obviously she survived. She didn't go further in the date, right? Ashley Banfield had her on the show again. I don't know if she's interviewed her before, but she's been doing a lot of interviews. This woman here, and but she has her on the show, and I want to share that with you guys here too. But real quick, okay, a former escort who had dinner with Rex Heuermann said he quote unquote got off talking about the victims and spouted information about some of the cases that was not widely known during a chilling dinner that left her fearing for her life. So Nicole Brash, she's 34, who went out with Rex Heuermann 8 years ago to earn money to feed her opioid addiction, claimed in a Tuesday interview, okay, this is from July of last year, just so you guys know. All right. Told the interview that he gleefully talked about the Gilgo Beach M's before trying to pressure her into going to a hotel with him. She says, when we spoke about, you know, the unalivings, it was almost like he was visualizing it in his head and getting off to what he was saying. This is what she said, recounting the eerie conversation from nearly a decade ago. All right. So she says he had a smile on his face and a glossed over look in his eye while talking about the Gilgo Beach tragedies, which left her with a quote unquote really, really bad feeling. My gut was telling me I had to get away from him, she told a network. She was advertising on Backpage and Seeker, looking for wealthy men to go out with to earn money for party favors. At the time, I was in my early 20s. I was an addict, and I wasn't really thinking about safety. She reported that she connected with him through one of those sites, leading to their fateful encounter at the Steam Room seafood restaurant in Port Jefferson. The woman said Heuermann initially wanted to rent a hotel for them in Nassau County, but she did not feel comfortable meeting him in private, so she convinced him to take her out to dinner instead. In the beginning, he seemed totally normal. He talked about his job and just seemed really normal until he brought up the Gilgo Beach tragedies. According to the former escort, her quote unquote date first asked Brass if she was a true crime fan. And the two spent a short time talking about other famous serial monsters. Here's a selfie. Interesting. Then he said, "Have you ever heard of the Gilgo Beach tragedies?" That's when he got weird, she says. The woman claimed Heuermann mentioned details about the unalivings that Brass had not heard, despite closely following the investigation. I mean, I would too if I'm an S worker and I live in that area and this person's out here unaliving people. Absolutely, I'd be interested in this case too, because you want to make sure you're safe, right? I was following the case and he mentioned one of the girls I hadn't heard about yet. It seemed like he was talking about it from experience, not a point of view, she said. Brass added that it seemed like the man did not feel at all sorry for the victims and was excited to discuss the unalivings. It seemed like somebody was really wanting to brag about what they did, but couldn't, she told the paper. As Rex Heuermann spoke, Brass said that something about his body language changed. The look in his eyes changed, and it seemed like talking about the victims was enjoyable for him. Again, he's giving information. He's talking about a victim that hasn't been talked about yet or hasn't been mentioned yet. I mean, that's some scary stuff, right? That's some really, really scary stuff, and very damning stuff. You're on a date with this person. This person's sitting there going, "You a true crime fan? Let's talk about all these unalivings." It's a very interesting thing. It's very odd. It's one thing to be just like talking about things that that already exist. If you're talking about one specific thing, you're like, "Oh, here's a popular conversation or popular case that everyone's talking about. We're going to talk about the bullet points because we can relate because we know all these things." But you're sitting there going, "Well, I know a little thing. Birdie told me this, and this." It's like, whoa, how would you know this? Are you a private investigator? I thought you told me you were an architect. So how do you know about all this stuff? And who's this girl that you mentioned? That's crazy. So I'm wondering if she knew of the girl's name or if she remembers what the name of that girl was, because that could possibly connect him to, if it's not part of the Gilgo 6 right now, it could connect him to another victim. And I'm kind of curious as to who he was mentioning that had not been mentioned yet. I think that's interesting. But she was on Banfield, so I want to share this with you guys. And this is just a part of the interview. So let's take a look at this. And of course, if you want to watch the rest of it, you can go to News Nation right now and check it out over there too.
It is one thing to sit where I am and tell you the extraordinary and tragic story of the Gilgo Beach murders. And it's one thing to sit where you are and then just try to take all these awful details in, right? But take a breath and imagine for a second that you're sitting across a table from the very man who is now accused of seeking out and torturing and killing innocent women like you or your sister or your mom or your daughter. Nikki Brass had that experience. She's a hair and makeup artist who used to work as an escort and says her date with Rex Heuermann in 2015 was one of the more terrifying nights of her life. She adds that it was also very, very strange. And she joins me now with her lawyer, John Ray. Thank you to the both of you. Nikki, let me begin with you if I can. And thank you for coming back on the air to talk about this. Obviously, in a really difficult time for you, because these were very uncomfortable details that we learned this week. A blueprint with hunting and targeting and playtime and supplies, all allegedly Rex Heuermann planning his kills. What's your reaction to the information that you've heard?
Honestly, a lot of the information I already had from him. It was said in a third-person point of view, but he said that stuff before it was released. I already knew.
Tell me about that, because as I recall, he became strange on that date because he seemed to have a fixation with the Gilgo Beach body. So to walk me through what it was he started saying to you on that date.
When we first sat down, we talked about basic stuff, and then it moved to him asking if I knew anything about serial killers or was interested in it, which I did know a lot about serial killers. So we started talking about different serial killers. After we talked about them, which that was like very much third person, just somebody who read about it talking. Then he asked if I had heard of the Gilgo Beach killings, which I'm from Long Island, so I have. And that's when he started to get weird, and it wasn't third person anymore. It seemed more like somebody who was like remembering and enjoying talking about it and just way too detailed. And he said things that like I didn't remember hearing in the news yet.
Did his manner change?
He
I mean,
had
in the conversations you had when you first sat down, it seemed like it was kind of an innocuous shared interest in true crime. Lots of people like true crime. Did his mannerisms change as you got into the Gilgo Beach murders?
Yeah, he leaned in, he got excited. It seemed like something he like very much wanted to talk about. But not even just talk about, you know, the look in someone's eyes when they're remembering something, when they're thinking about it, when they're trying to think about details. It was like that. It wasn't like somebody who read a book and was just spewing facts. It was somebody who was trying to act like they didn't live it.
At what point, Nikki, did you realize that you needed to get out of there? Because as I understand it, he's asking you to come back to his home. And when you're saying no, he's suggesting he drives you to your home. What was your spidey sense that told you, beat it, get out of here?
He had never offered to drive me to my home. He insisted, he asked me if I was going to go with him. He had showed me a white envelope, like implying it had money, but never showed me money. And then asked if I was going to go home with him. I was like really, really uncomfortable. At that point, I had already texted somebody to meet me outside.
Real quick, are you going to go home with me? Okay. That makes more sense now. Are you going home with me? I think that's really important. Now, when they say, you know, in connection with what the DA is looking at right now, saying that all of it looks like all of the acts, for the most part, happened in this house. Are you going to come home with me? Oh, here's this white envelope. I got the monies. Come with me. Come spend the night. That kind of thing, right? Home, though. Not like, let's go to a hotel. No, home.
So I told him like, thank you for dinner, but no thank you. And like, you could tell he was like visibly like annoyed. And he was like, well, why not? And trying to understand. I was like, trying to make excuses. So I was like, you know, it's late. I really don't want to drive that far in the dark. And he was like, no. Like, you'd leave your car here. We'd go on mine. Why would we take two cars? Like, very insistent that if I go, I'm taking his car.
What's interesting is also, I hate to say this, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful at all, but she was an S worker. Her job was to go and have relations with him, right? But she was turning him down. I'm sure she's had dates with grosser individuals, right? But given the fact that she said, no, thank you, says a lot. If you really think about it, I got the money. Let's go back to my place and let's have our quid pro quo, right? And she says, no. That should have been a wake-up call for this guy. Like, oh, I'm creeping her out. Something. You know what I mean? It says a lot. Because her job is to just, you know, quid pro quo. You feel me? You do a little of this, and I give you a little of this, and then you leave, right? And she's going, no. That's big. Okay. That's big. That's a huge tell.
Do you think that you could have been one of these victims?
If I went to his house, yes.
It just gives me the chills to think that you had that strong sense to move on, to get out of there, and to ask for someone to meet with you. Thank you.
Now, I like I said, it says a lot for it. It would take a lot for, I would assume. I mean, obviously, I don't know S workers and stuff like that, but I would assume that it would take a lot for an S worker to be like, oh no, I don't care how much money you giving me. Like, I'm gone. I'm getting in my car and I'm leaving. Okay, it's nice to meet you. Bye-bye. Hopefully I never meet you ever again. You see what I'm saying? But that's very interesting. That says a lot. And that should have been a wake-up call, a big, huge hint for Rex. But he didn't take that hint. Clearly, he was like, why not? Why not? Why not? She saw through your BS, bro. She could see that you were off. That says a lot, man. I'm just being real. Chrissy Lee, thank you so much for being a member for the past 20 months, almost a year. Wow. Thanks for your hard work, even on a weekend. We appreciate it. No, appreciate you. I appreciate you. I really, really do. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. And beautiful Messy Ball, welcome to the family. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to all the new members. I really do appreciate it. Real talk. But yes, again, crazy, right? All the information. It's been one hell of a week as far as like the bombshell that was dropped revolving around this case with Rex Heuermann. It is insane, mind-blowing, heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking, because it gives us more insight on what these women went through. All of these women went through some various horrific thing before they passed on. And then even after they passed on, the things that he did afterwards, some of them were left intact, but most of them were not. This is a very deeply disturbed individual and a very, very, thank God, dumb criminal. Okay? Did I say almost a year? I meant 2 years. My bad. Thank you, Lily Polly. Thank you for the correction. But moving back into the conversation. It's pretty crazy that these women went through what they went through. And thank God he's a dumbass criminal. Thank God he's a dumbass criminal. Because if he wasn't a dumb criminal, it may have been, it may be 50, 60. It may all these women's cases, all these victims' cases may remain cold and may remain the whole, the questionable thing, right? Who is the Gilgo Beach serial killer? Who is the Long Island serial monster? And so on and so forth, right? But thank God he's dumb. Thank God he didn't think about them being able to recover things that were deleted off his computer. Thank God they're going to be able to scoop through 36 SIM cards, 44 SD cards, 15 cameras, 422 electronic devices that were found inside that home. What was it? Somebody just 640 something floppy disks and VHSs. That's a lot of stuff, y'all, in that tiny red house. So imagine what's on all of that stuff, or what was deleted that they're scooping and scraping back and getting. It's crazy, guys. It's absolutely crazy. But I'll tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm here for it. Anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. It really does mean a lot. I know it's Saturday, you know. Some of y'all are tired, still getting the sleep out of your eyes and whatnot, but I do appreciate you guys being here nonetheless, spending time with little old me and talking about this case. Happy Saturday to every single last one of y'all. Okay. Yeah. I hope we get more justice. There's more coming, guys. Okay? There's more coming. There are more cases that are about to get solved very, very soon. But I think that they should seal off that house. That house is one big box. It's like a big old shoebox filled with nothing but evidence. So I'm hoping they shut that thing down, relocate the family, all right, so that they can just keep diving into that house. There's more in that house. I guarantee you that. They're not done. 30 years, 30 plus years, there's more in that house. There's more in that house. All right. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on other platforms, be sure to hit that reaction button. Of course, if you're watching on those other platforms, be sure to hit that follow button on my Facebook page, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of those. Follow. Of course, crush that subscribe button right here on my YouTube channel. If you want to support, like a lot of you guys have been doing, which has been amazing. Thank you to all the new members. Shout out to my mods, of course. But if you're a new member, thank you so much. But if you want to become a member, hit that join button down below if you're watching on YouTube. All right, that'd be great. Or go over to patreon.com/The Pascal Show if you want to support over there as well. All right. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. Much love to you guys. I appreciate you guys for being here and spending your Saturday morning with me. But it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. We'll talk soon. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.